guys, welcome back to my channel. But today this vlog is all about my time in Korea. For those of you who haven't seen my vlogs before, I was in Korea for 1 month, well, like roughly a month. I think it was like 3.5 weeks. And I was studying at Yonsei University in Seoul, and I was doing the Winter Abroad at Yonsei, or the WAY program. I'll probably refer to it a lot as the WAY program, just because Winter Abroad at Yonsei is a mouthful. I was there from December 26th to January 16th, 17th, 18th? I don't really know what day I left. It was around those 3 days. And essentially, I took 2 classes there. I took an East Asian International Relations class and a Korean class. I would not recommend taking the Korean class. Because yes, Korean, it's a great language to learn, but you can learn it on your own. Korean was stressful and time consuming, and my class gave me so much homework. I mean, other people's didn't. I cannot speak for the other Korean classes, only the class I got. My teacher was a gem. I loved her. She was sweet, she was kind, but she piled on the homework. And they also didn't speak much English, which is like fine, but learning a language and not being able to speak the language, obviously, because you're learning it, and they can't communicate with you effectively, is very hard to learn the language. And I also came out knowing really no Korean. You'll find that it's pretty easy being there, at least in Seoul. I didn't really leave Seoul very much. I did go to an amusement park, but there it was pretty easy to communicate because they had tourists and stuff. But in Seoul, it's like you'll find that there are definitely restaurants more geared towards tourists, even though they're like local restaurants. Like they'll have like a menu with pictures, which is always so helpful, or an English menu, or at least for my program, I was with some people who spoke Chinese, and so sometimes they could communicate in Chinese, even if it wasn't English. So you don't really, I would highly recommend learning the alphabet before you go. I did not do that, and I regretted it. But I lucked out because I can read Japanese. So there was a lot of Japanese, so I could read that, you know. So I couldn't read the Korean, but I had understanding of the Japanese, so I was kind of okay. But yeah, and like the transportation systems are super foreigner friendly. They would have like the Korean, and then they would say the stop in English. And like if you're using like, you can't really use Google, doesn't work that well. So I used an app called Naver, and Naver gave you the directions, and like if you had to take the bus, you know, it would give you the like spelling of the pronunciation. So rather than give you the Korean, it would just give you the spelling of like how you pronounce it, and on the buses it would like write it out in like the pronunciation. And so that was pretty helpful, especially like I took the bus by myself. I spoke no Korean. I was fine. I made it to where I was going on my own. So yeah, back to the other classes I was taking. That was a long tangent on Korean. Oh, there's hair stuck in my glasses. Ugh. Ugh. Okay. Oh my god, it's still there. Okay. Going back to my classes, my East Asian International Relations professor was named Professor Bong. If you are doing the WAY program, or if you are studying abroad at Yonsei and you have the opportunity to take his class, take it. First of all, he's a very interesting professor. He is just knowledgeable, and he's very straight up. I like professors that are like, this is how it's gotta be, I'm sorry, deal with it, you know? And so he was like that. He showed us very interesting documentaries on things that like I don't really learn about here in the States, like documentaries about North Korea and like kamikaze pilots. It was just very interesting. And I also got a very interesting take because I was one of 2 Americans, I believe, in the class. It was a lot of Australians and a lot of Chinese. So I got a very interesting take on how other countries feel about international relations regarding America, which was obviously very interesting for me because I am currently in America. That's where I'm from, that's where I go to school, it's where I've lived all my life. Um, it was just very interesting, and the best part about him that made me love him dearly with all my heart was that he understood that we were here to study abroad and to experience Korea. So he didn't really like pile us on with homework or assignments or essays. And our tests, we had 2 tests, but only one counted. So he took the higher of the 2 scores, and he gave us, it was an essay test, but he gave us the essay like a week in advance, and it was open book, open note, and you could use your laptop. So it was fantastic. It was like a win-win situation. You just prepped for it and you wrote it, and it was fantastic. And the best part about it was that the midterm counted for the final. So there was a midterm and a final, and so if you took the midterm, you didn't have to take the final. You just take the higher of the 2 scores, you know? And he gave us like our final grades and stuff before the actual final, so we didn't feel like pressured to take the final, which was great, because obviously as your days are dwindling down in a country, you want to kind of have fun and let loose a little bit and kind of just like experience the country before you go, or anything you didn't experience. So I would definitely recommend taking a class with him. If you're doing Yansai, going to Yansai, I don't care when, just be prepared for hills. It is hilly. It's so hilly. The campus is so hilly. And when you get there, Yansai is not going to give you any direction. They will tell you how to get from the airport to the bus station near the res halls, which is fine. So you get there and you just assume that like the bus is going to drop you off right next to the res halls. That is not the case. It is like a 5-minute walk uphill. They do not tell you where to go. I was unprepared for it, Yansai. I was so unprepared for it. If I did not meet somebody else who had data, I didn't have data. That's another thing, I'll get to that in a second. I would have been so lost, because it's like you gotta go up side streets and like over and then up, but you find it. Once you find it, you're all set. Check in. And then to get to class on the first day, they just tell you what building you have to go to. But what they don't tell you is that the dormitories are here and everything else is here. And they don't tell you how to get from here to here. They put sparse signs along. You gotta like go through the woods, and it's very confusing getting from the dormitories to the actual campus. It's probably like a 10-minute walk. It's not that far, but it's like uphill through the woods. It's crazy. It's wild. I've never walked so many hills in my life. I was not prepared for it. I am preparing you for it. You are prepared now to go to Yansai. Data. I personally didn't have it, I think, but Wi-Fi is pretty much everywhere, and if you can't find Wi-Fi, chances are somebody that you're hanging out with has a hotspot. Shout out to Dom for letting me always hook up to your hotspot. You know, and it's not that hard. I personally didn't have it. I was fine. I mean, sometimes like you're sitting on the bus by yourself and you're like, I should have looked up directions before I got on the bus. That's a problem. I've done that. I did that. I just connected to a hotspot that was unlocked for like 30 seconds. But other than that, like data, it's not really necessary. Food. Let's talk about food. The price of food. So Yansai, if you're staying in the dormitories, chances are you will be staying in SK Global or International House, or iHouse as they call it. I stayed in iHouse. So for food, there's food spots, restaurants, like dining, cafeteria stuff, underneath the lobby in SK Global. You cannot get there through iHouse. I tried. So if you go there in the winter and it's 3 degrees, you gotta go outside to get dinner. And like the food on campus, it's great. It's so good. But it's kind of expensive compared to food elsewhere in Korea. It's not like terribly expensive. It's just like $7 for like a meal, but it's good portions and it's delicious. I ate there all the time. The pork cutlets there were my favorite thing ever. Pretty much Yansai is in Sinchon, which is a pretty cool neighborhood of Seoul, and it was lots of food. There was a lot of fried chicken also. And the nice thing about where we were was it was super close to Hongdae, which is kind of like the nightlife scene. I go to Hongdae in my first vlog and in the New Year's Eve vlog. So check those out. It's pretty cool. A lot of chimak, which is again chicken and beer, and Korean barbecue was everywhere. If you're going to Yonsei, find the place with unlimited pork belly for like 10,000 won. The best deal of your life. You could sit there and eat pork belly for hours. Ugh, it was so good. Yeah, so like eating there is like, I compared it to like the same as eating in the US. The thing about it that kind of threw me off was that you're paying a lot to live on campus and they do not offer a meal plan, which I get is like normal, but you do pay a lot for housing at Yonsei. I think I paid about $600 for a month, and the international house dorms were like barely okay. Like the room itself was nice. The showers were kind of like prison showers with like a button you had to push to keep going. The glass was like semi see-through, so that kind of threw me off. It was very overpriced. It was perfectly fine. It was a great dorm. It was just so overpriced for the amount I paid for it. What else is there? Oh, if you're going to Korea in the winter, I was not prepared for this. I was tracking the weather. I was great with that. I get there, it's like 40 degrees. I'm like, heck yes, let's go. The next day, and until like 2 days before I leave, it is like consistently below like 10 degrees every day. So pack layers, because Korea apparently gets very cold, like very cold. Pack warm socks. I thought I was losing my toe about every day I went outside. I didn't pack boots. I was fine. I had my little bean boot moccasins, which is just like the rubber part of a boot, and I was fine with those. Didn't really snow while I was there. I was kind of nervous about it, but I didn't want to pack boots because boots are obviously very bulky. Pack sweaters, pack thermals, thermal underwear. Those will save your life in Korea in the winter. Gloves, hats, actual gloves. I packed knit gloves. I wish I packed like actual like mittens. It was so cold. Don't worry about bringing hot packs, because hot packs there are so cheap and they're everywhere, and a lot of times you can get them for free. I have like a pile of hot packs over on my bookshelf from Korea. I brought home like 20 because they were just so cheap. In America they're so expensive. Oh, I mentioned this briefly in my Saturday vlogs, but when you do go out, you're pretty much done at like 1:30 or 2:30. I don't quite remember what time it ended. If you go out, make sure you have a plan and go out with a buddy. Obviously, I feel like that's common sense. I went by myself, so I made buddies, you know? I made friends. But just don't go out on your own. I mean, go to Daiso by yourself, but like, don't go out to dinner on your own. Don't go drinking on your own. Don't go out at night on your own. I feel like this is common sense. Also, when you're going out, make sure you kind of have like a plan of what you want to do, because Seoul is massive. I did not realize how big it was until I got there, and it feels very small until you want to do something, and then it's like an hour and a half bus ride across the city, or like 5 train rides. So definitely just have a plan and try and screenshot directions before you get on transportation, because if you do not have data and you are using Wi-Fi, you will obviously lose that as soon as you leave the place where you have Wi-Fi. So just screenshot it, and then you can kind of follow along with the bus or the train or whatever you're on. We only took a taxi once. We mainly traveled around public transport. This is actually, I have it right here. This is my T-Money card. Basically, with the T-Money card, you pay for the transit, and you can also pay for food at like McDonald's or KFC or like fast food places, and some like local places too. You can pay for food with this. I'm sure you can also shop with this. You can probably pay at like 7-Eleven and gas stations with this. You can do everything with this card. I just bought this card in Korea at a convenience store. You can order them online before you go if you want like a cute card or whatever. But yeah, these cards save your life. public transport, very cheap, very affordable. When you're taking it though, be sure this happens on the bus and on the train, to tap on, and then you have to remember to tap off, because otherwise it will not register that you got off. And this is actually really nice because it's kind of like, it doesn't charge you for one set price, so you could be going one stop, so it'll kind of charge you for that one stop rather than just like $2.25. You know what I'm saying? So it's nice. Transferring is very easy. I love this system with the T-Money card. I recommend it. Love T-Money cards. Yeah, taxis. If you're taking a taxi, you have to know Korean. There's really no need unless you're out late. Like for New Year's Eve, I was out until 3 a.m. The public transportation does kind of shut down kind of early for Seoul. Or it's earlier than you expect. I think it's around like midnight or like 1 a.m. So yeah, so we did have to take a taxi. Thank God I was with somebody who spoke Korean, because I don't think we would have taken a taxi. We would have walked like the 3 miles, because Korean. But yeah, I had a wonderful time in Korea. Let me know down in the comments if you want me to, I don't know, do a vlog about something specific, talk about kind of what I packed to Korea, like specifically, talk about what I wish I had brought to Korea, what I wish I didn't bring to Korea, what I did, how I learned things there. Any other things you want, just comment down below, especially if you're doing the Way program. There's not many vlogs about it, so I'd be more than happy to do another vlog. So just leave a comment down below, and don't forget to subscribe and give this video a thumbs up. Bye!